Once upon a time, in the deepest, coldest part of winter, when snowflakes fell like feathers from the heavens, a beautiful queen sat sewing by a window. The frame of the window was made of the finest black ebony wood dot. As she stitched, gazing at the falling snow, she accidentally pricked her finger with her golden needle. 3 drops of bright red blood fell onto the pure white snow on the windowsill. The red looked so striking, so beautiful against the white, that the queen sighed and whispered a wish to the winter wind.
I wish for a daughter, white as the snow.
Lips as red as this blood, and hair as black as this ebony wood. Fate heard her whisper. Soon after, the queen gave birth to a daughter who was the very image of her wish.
We shall name her Snow White.
As life entered the child, it left the mother. The queen died, leaving the king alone in his grief. The castle, once filled with joy, fell silent. A year passed, and the king felt the kingdom needed a mother. He married again. His new wife was a woman of breathtaking beauty, but her heart was rotten with pride and arrogance. She was a sorceress who could not bear the thought of anyone being more beautiful than her. She brought with her a secret artifact, a magic mirror. Every morning, she would lock herself in her chamber.
Mirror. Mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
And the mirror, which could not speak a lie, always replied,
You, my queen, are the fairest of all.
This answer soothed her jealous heart. But time stops for no one. As the years turned, Snow White grew. She did not just grow older, she grew radiant. By the time she was 7 years old, her beauty surpassed the morning sun. Her kindness made her shine even brighter than the queen. One fateful morning, the queen stood before her mirror, expecting the usual answer. But when she asked,
Who is the fairest?
the mirror replied, You, my queen, are fair, it is true, but Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you. The queen turned pale with shock. Jealousy, like a green venom, began to spread through her veins. From that hour, whenever she looked at Snow White, her heart turned cold with hatred. The queen could no longer sleep. Her hatred gave her no peace. Finally, she summoned her most trusted huntsman into the shadows of the throne room. Her voice was cold as ice.
Take the girl. Take her deep into the forest where no one can hear her scream. I never want to see her again.
Kill her, and to prove to me that she is dead, bring me her heart. The huntsman, fearing the queen's dark magic, he took the innocent girl deep into the woods under the pretense of a walk. But as they reached the darkest part of the forest, he stopped. He drew his hunting knife. Snow White turned and saw the blade. She fell to her knees, weeping, her hands folded in prayer.
Oh, dear huntsman, please don't harm me. What have I done? Spare my life, and I will run into the wild forest and never come home again.
The huntsman looked at her. She was so young, so beautiful, and so innocent.
Run! Run away, you poor child, before the queen finds you.
He watched her disappear into the trees, thinking the wild beasts would soon eat her. To trick the evil queen, he killed a young wild boar, took out its heart, and presented it to her. The wicked queen, believing it was Snow White's heart, laughed in triumph. In her madness, she had the heart cooked and ate it, believing she had consumed her enemy's power. Meanwhile, Snow White was all alone in the great dark forest. Night began to fall. The trees seemed to come alive. The branches looked like twisted claws reaching out to grab her dress. The wind howled like wolves. She ran over sharp stones that cut her feet. She ran through thorns that tore her clothes. She ran until her breath failed her dot. She felt as though the whole world had turned against her. But just as her legs were about to give up, she saw a light. In a small clearing, protected by the mountains, stood a tiny, strange little cottage. Snow White approached cautiously and knocked. No answer. She pushed the door open. Inside, everything was small, but perfectly neat. There was a table set with 7 little plates, 7 little spoons, and 7 little cups. Up against the wall, there were 7 little beds, covered in snow-white sheets. Hungry and thirsty, she took a tiny bite of bread from each plate and a sip of wine from each cup, so as not to finish anyone's meal completely. Then, exhausted from her terrifying journey, she tried the beds. One was too long, one was too short, but the 7th was just right. She curled up and fell into a deep sleep. When darkness covered the land, the masters of the house returned. They were 7 dwarfs who dug for gold and copper in the mountains. They lit their 7 candles and immediately saw that things had been moved.
Who has been sitting on my chair? Who has been eating from my plate? Who has been using my fork?
Then the 7th dwarf looked at his bed and saw Snow
Good
White
heavens.
sleeping. He called the others.
Good heavens.
This child is beautiful.
They did not wake her. They let her sleep, guarding her through the night. In the morning, Snow White awoke and was frightened to see the 7 dwarfs. But they smiled kindly and asked, "What is your name?" "My name is Snow White," she replied. She told them her sad story about her stepmother's jealousy and the huntsman who spared her. The dwarfs, touched by her plight, made an offer. "If you will take care of our house, cook, make the beds, wash, sew, and keep everything clean, you can stay with us. We will protect you." Snow White agreed happily. But the dwarfs gave her a grave warning. "Beware of your stepmother. She will soon know you are here. Do not let anyone into the house when we are gone." Back at the castle, the queen, believing she had eaten Snow White's heart, stood before her mirror once more.
Mirror. Mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all? You, my queen, are the fairest of all.
But over the hills, where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and fair. The queen screamed in rage. She realized she had to do the dirty work herself. Using dark magic, the queen disguised herself as an old peddler woman. She painted her face, grayed her hair, and traveled over the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarfs' cottage. She knocked on the door crying, "Good wares for sale." Beautiful wares. Snow White peeked out. "What do you have?" "Bodice laces of all colors," the old woman said, showing a lace of colorful silk. Snow White thought, surely this old woman is harmless. She opened the door. The old woman smiled wickedly. "Let me lace you up properly, my dear." But she pulled the lace so tight that Snow White lost her breath and fell down as if dead. The queen laughed and left. Luckily, the dwarfs returned early. They cut the laces, and Snow White gasped for air, coming back to life.
We must be quiet.
But the queen was not done. When the mirror told her Snow White still lived, she made a poisoned comb. Again, she disguised herself. Again, she tricked Snow White into opening the door. She put the comb in the girl's hair, and the poison took effect instantly. Once again, the dwarfs returned and pulled the comb out just in time.
Pay attention now. Whatever you do, Era, promise you won't open this door until we get back.
The queen was now insane with fury. She locked herself in a secret room where no one was allowed. There, she brewed her deadliest poison yet. She took a fresh, delicious apple. She dipped only the red half into the poison, leaving the white half safe. It looked so tempting that anyone who saw it would want it. Disguised as a peasant farmer's wife, she went to the cottage for the third time. Snow White called from the window, "I dare not let anyone in. The dwarfs have forbidden it." "Whatever you say," the woman replied.
Take this apple as a gift. No, I cannot.
Are you afraid of what can harm you?
The woman laughed. "Look, I will cut it in two. I will eat the white side, and you eat the red side." Snow White saw the woman eat, and her mouth watered for the beautiful fruit. She stretched out her hand and took the red half. Barely had she put a morsel in her mouth when she fell dead to the floor. The queen watched her fall with glowing eyes. White as snow, red as blood, black as ebony.
The dwarfs cannot wake you.
When the dwarfs came home, they found Snow White lying on the floor. She did not breathe. The child was dead. They laid her on a bier, and all seven sat by her side and wept for 3 days. They were going to bury her, but she still looked as fresh as a living person, and her cheeks were still red.
We cannot hide her in the black earth.
They made a coffin of clear glass, wrote her name in golden letters, and placed it on the mountain peak. One of them always stayed to watch over it. Even the animals came to mourn her, an owl, a raven, and a dove. Years passed, and Snow White lay in the coffin unchanged. One day, a king's son rode into the forest. He saw the coffin and the beautiful girl inside. He could not take his eyes off her. He begged the dwarfs, "Let me take her. I will honor her as my most stressed possession." The dwarfs, seeing his true love, gave him the coffin. As the prince's servants carried the coffin down the mountain, one of them stumbled over a tree root. The coffin shook violently. The jolt caused the piece of poisoned apple to dislodge from Snow White's throat. She opened her eyes, lifted the lid, and sat up. "Where am I?" she cried. The prince, full of joy, explained everything. "You are with me. Come to my castle and be my wife." A grand wedding was prepared with great splendor. Even Snow White's wicked stepmother was invited. Dressed in her finest clothes, she stood before her mirror and asked,
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? You, my queen, are fair, it is true. But the young queen...
Queen went to the wedding. When she entered the hall and saw that the bride was Snow White, she froze in terror. But her punishment had already been prepared. Iron shoes had been placed in a fire until they glowed red hot. She was forced to step into the burning shoes. She danced in pain, spinning and screaming, unable to stop. She danced until she fell to the floor, dead. Her jealousy had consumed her life, and finally it destroyed her. With the evil gone, Snow White and the prince lived in peace and happiness, ruling their kingdom with kindness for the rest of their days.